And our correspondent Ramesh Ramachandran spoke exclusively to Jaideep Mazumdar, Indian ambassador to Philippines. Listen in to that exclusive conversation.
Ambassador Mazumdar, everybody back home is curious to know who all will Prime Minister Modi be meeting here for a bilateral or a pull aside. So if you can also speak a little bit about his bilaterals with leaders such as President Trump and other world leaders here.
Of course, he will have a substantive bilateral meeting with his host, President Duterte of the Philippines. And this is going to be in the nature of a full bilateral meeting. The number of agreements are also expected to be signed during that. Apart from that, he will have engagements with both ASEAN leaders and with East Asia Summit leaders who are not members of ASEAN, that is. And these are all being worked out.
Ambassador Mazumdar, there's a lot of buzz about this so-called quadrilateral meeting at the level of officials, which we are given to understand might take place here in Manila over the next couple of days. Could you give us a sense of how this meeting has come about and what can we expect from this particular meeting between India, Japan, the US and Australia?
This is a work in progress and it's still not yet final when and where they will meet, and if it happens, you'll get to hear about it.
And also talking about India-ASEAN relationship, Ambassador, ASEAN is turning 50. India has had a 25-year-old relationship with engagement with ASEAN. So what can we expect going forward in this relationship at the economic level, political, security dialogue? If you could give us a flavor of that as well.
Sure. If you see ASEAN, it is really our very close extended neighborhood. We share maritime boundaries with 3 of the ASEAN member states. If you take Indonesia, the easternmost point and southernmost point of India is just about 100 nautical miles from the westernmost point of Indonesia. So that way we are very much part of this region, and therefore we have not only historical and civilizational links, but in the present times we have extended our Look East policy to an Act East policy. We have a very thriving diaspora in many of these countries. We have very close economic and commercial links. We have defense links with many of these countries, and we have great people-to-people interaction. So going ahead from there, celebrating the 25th anniversary of our dialogue partnership with ASEAN and 25 years of India-ASEAN relations, you will see a major boost in both our economic engagement, our political engagement, and our people-to-people engagement with this region, which is really the growth focus in the years to come. Both South and Southeast Asia and East Asia will be the growth centers of the world. So it's an attempt to carry that forward.
And in conclusion, Ambassador, the word Asia-Pacific seems to be going out of currency and Indo-Pacific is taking its place. So what might this imply for India and the region at large?
In a way, it is only logical to look at this area as a continuum, because economic interests, strategic interests, they are all interlinked between the Indian Ocean and the Pacific Ocean, and they cannot be two discrete areas. We have a lot of interests in the Western Pacific in terms of our trade and our engagement with all these countries, and therefore it is quite logical to look at this region and the security and safety of this region and maritime freedom of this region as a continuum.
On that one, Ambassador, thank you so much for speaking to Wion. You were listening to Ambassador Jaideep Mazumdar, India's ambassador to the Philippines, talking about the past, present and future trajectory of India-ASEAN relations. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran for Wion in Manila.
All right, let's now go straight across to our senior correspondent, Ramesh Ramachandran, who got for us that exclusive conversation. Ramesh, as Jaideep Mazumdar, the Indian ambassador to the Philippines, was just telling us in that exclusive chat that you had with him, it's an interesting transition from Look East to Act East, and that in a way summarizes the crux that India is looking at during this crucial ASEAN summit.
Well, clearly India is heavily invested in the Southeast Asian region, which is the ASEAN region, especially in light of India's Act East policy, which lays a premium on issues such as connectivity, security, and socio, cultural and political cooperation with all the 10 members of the ASEAN nations. Therefore, to that extent, Prime Minister Modi can be expected to have bilateral meetings with a host of world leaders here in Manila over the next 2 days. In particular, the leaders of the US, Japan and Australia, who have come together earlier this morning here in Manila to revive the so-called Quadrilateral Initiative, which focuses on the Indo-Pacific region in terms of security cooperation, freedom of navigation, and respecting the territorial integrity and sovereignty of all the states in the Indo-Pacific region. That aside, he'll also have bilaterals with President Duterte of the Philippines and also with other ASEAN leaders such as the Sultan of Brunei and the leader of Vietnam. So clearly a packed agenda for Prime Minister Modi over the next 2 days. He landed here in Manila in little under 1 hour ago, and he was greeted by the Indian diaspora here in Manila. And later in the evening, he'll join the gala dinner organized and hosted by the President of the Philippines, where all the heads of state and government will be in attendance. And tomorrow will be the inauguration of the ASEAN summit, followed by his bilateral with President Trump and President Duterte of the Philippines. And on the 14th, he'll have similar bilaterals with Prime Ministers Abe and Malcolm Turnbull of Australia. So, like I said, he has a packed agenda. And all the issues, including regional issues such as North Korea, the South China Sea issue, counter-terrorism, all will be on the agenda of the 2-day talks here in Manila.
Stay with me, please, Ramesh. Let's also get our viewers through other updates.